When talking about his match against Big Daddy Cool Diesel at WrestleMania 11, Shawn Michaels stated on the WWE Untold show that aired on WWE Network that he and Kevin were trying to tell fans about the Attitude Era 3 years before it actually happened through this encounter. This is a pretty bold claim, and one that's easily shrugged off as Shawn just putting himself and his clique buddy over. But when you really think about all the matches that came before it, HBK vs Diesel at Mania 11 was pretty unique. WWF Championship matches at WrestleMania hadn't really changed all that much from the 80s right up until 1995. They were kinda cookie cutter, with the only real exceptions being the tournament finals at Mania 4, Hogan getting a late title shot at Mania 9, and the 2 championship matches at WrestleMania 10. Still though, from an in-ring perspective, there's nothing really out of the ordinary, and these Manias I mentioned all had endings that played out the way WWF wanted them to. But Shawn vs Diesel was unique thanks to Shawn's relationship with Kevin and Shawn's desire to be ultra competitive. WrestleMania 11 gets a bad rep, and deservedly so. It's kind of a slog to sit through, and the main event isn't what anyone would call a Mania classic, but totally refusing to go back to Mania 11 means you're missing out on a WWF title match that I feel is seriously underappreciated. Let's take a look at the match in today's video and learn more about what was going on backstage, and hopefully the bout will be a little less underappreciated once I get done today. Shawn Michaels and Diesel were the best of friends during their time together in the WWF and beyond. They both got a lot of heat from their peers, with Kevin Nash inheriting the heat that Shawn already had upon his arrival to the WWF. HBK and Nash would form close relationships with Scott Hall, Sean Waltman, and after this Mania match we're going to look at today, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And this group, collectively known as the Clique, became infamous for their alleged backstage politicking and for being a bunch of guys who only looked out for themselves. Still, none of this really matters for our video topic today. All you need to remember is that Shawn and Diesel were very, very close, and the fact that they were so close really helped with their on-screen chemistry, both as partners and enemies. The story heading into Mania 11 was a simple one. Shawn and Diesel started having issues. HBK accidentally kicked his friend in the face one too many times. Diesel got mad, and then, completely out of the blue, Diesel becomes the WWF champion during a Madison Square Garden house show. Nowadays, this is a footnote in the history of the WWE Championship, but it really was quite surprising that the belt changed hands in this manner, almost like it was a knee-jerk reaction from Vince McMahon or a decision he made without much thought. Whatever the case, Diesel was now the WWF's main man, and judging by HBK's interviews in his autobiography, the Heartbreak Kid had mixed emotions. First and foremost, Shawn was happy for his friend. Michaels explained that his relationship with Kevin made it very difficult for him to get mad or think that Diesel wasn't worthy of being the company's top dog. But Shawn did also admit that there was a little hint of jealousy. A little hint of jealousy that would quickly evaporate when he remembered that Kevin Nash was his best friend. Nash, on the other hand, told a different story during an old interview with his current podcast host, Sean Oliver. Kevin said Shawn wanted his spot, HBK wanted to be the WWF champion pretty badly, and according to Kevin, everyone knew it too. There's no right or wrong answer here in my opinion. You could easily feel both ways about a friend who reached the pinnacle before you did, no matter what the activity. Healthy competition does exist among buddies, of course, so I don't think it's a case of Shawn trying to sugarcoat his true feelings or anything. He was happy for his buddy, but he also wanted what Kev had, and that's fine. Shawn was told by Vince McMahon that he was going to win the 1995 Royal Rumble and he was going to face Kevin at WrestleMania. Judging by Shawn's book, and yes, I know it's not a great resource, but that's all we have, HBK was told early on that he wouldn't be winning the WWF Championship, and his assignment at Mania was to make Kev look as strong as possible. Shawn reasoned that the bigger HBK got built up, the better Kevin would look after his Mania win. So Shawn suggested to Pat Patterson that he enters the Royal Rumble match at the number 1 spot and he goes the distance, the first person to ever do such a thing. Shawn said, "Pat always liked my ideas and he wanted to do something different too. I was the type of character that you wanted to hate, but you had to admit he's good, and that's good heat. My heat derived from the fact that everyone thought they could take me, but they weren't completely sure. And I was cocky. I wasn't a cool heel like Ric Flair or a big strong one like The Undertaker. I was hateable through and through. If I won the Rumble from the first position, I would really make the fans angry. They'd be dying to see Kev knock the snot out of me. However, there'd be that doubt. Maybe this guy can beat the 7-foot monster." Shawn did indeed go wire to wire at the 1995 Royal Rumble, and as an added bonus, he was now going to get brought down to the ring at WrestleMania by Pamela Anderson. Diesel, meanwhile, had a babyface versus babyface championship defense at the Royal Rumble against Bret Hart, and while the match was good, I think this might have been a bad booking decision. Diesel needed to go into WrestleMania being the ultimate champion babyface, and here at the Rumble, the cheers were split in half as many fans favoured the Hitman over Big Daddy Cool. It maybe would have made more sense to book Diesel against a big company heel such as Bam Bam Bigelow, but keep in mind too that the WWF were seriously lacking in heels during this time period, especially true main event heels that were really despised by the majority of fans. After some shenanigans, Diesel was able to leave the Rumble still holding the championship, and then Vince McMahon felt the Mania match needed something extra. It wasn't enough that Shawn won the Rumble from the number 1 spot. McMahon still felt that HBK needed something more to make fans believe that he could actually beat Diesel at WrestleMania. So the decision was made to give Shawn a heater, and that heater was none other than Psycho Sid. McMahon argued that Sid being in Shawn's corner would make the match much more equal and it would have gave Shawn an edge over his opponent, and judging by what HBK said, Shawn didn't really have a problem with it. It does kinda sound like one of those things that could potentially piss Shawn off, but I don't really see any mention of this being a concern for Michaels heading into Mania 11. Something else McMahon wanted to do was to put Lawrence Taylor in the WrestleMania main event against Bam Bam Bigelow. Business was down in 1995 and McMahon felt he could bring more eyeballs to the WWF by having LT compete in the Mania main event. Shawn said, "Bam Bam Bigelow, a wrestler who was below Kevin and me on the card, and LT, a football player, were in the main event. But these kind of things happen at WrestleMania. Folks that aren't part of the wrestling business sometimes grab the spotlight and big payday at WrestleMania. We work hard all year and then somebody else comes in and gets the biggest piece of the pie and leaves." Vince explained it to me this way: if we could use these guys to get more eyes watching our product, then we would all win in the long run, because if we put on a good show, these new eyes were going to continue to follow us. His logic made sense, and LT coming in didn't stick in my craw. Now, this quote is obviously from the public-facing Shawn Michaels, and a Shawn Michaels looking back at Mania 11 in hindsight. There simply had to be a little bit of anger or annoyance from both Shawn and Diesel that they weren't going on last at Mania, even if they did both understand that it was strictly a business decision. You take all the stories you hear about the Clique and you compare it with HBK saying he didn't mind getting bumped from the main event, and it doesn't quite add up, does it? Still, we have to take his word for it, I guess. In the meantime, the TV build-up to the WrestleMania match post-Royal Rumble was nothing to write home about. There was the aforementioned Psycho Sid reveal, there was a sit-down interview with Kevin Nash where he talked about knowing Shawn Michaels better than anyone, and therefore he had the advantage in this match. A battle royal took place on Superstars and Shawn decided to eliminate himself because, well, he had a shot at Mania and he didn't need to overexert himself. But he did come out at the end of the battle royal to attack Davey Boy Smith. Remember, it was Davey who Shawn last eliminated in the Royal Rumble. A match was then set up between Davey and Shawn, and seeing as the WWF wanted to make HBK look as good as possible, there was no way Bulldog was gonna beat him here. Psycho Sid did give HBK an assist though, and the match ended with Davey taking Sweet Chin music. The press conference was then held for WrestleMania where Shawn delivered one of his most famous quotes: "I will give you a show like you have never ever seen before."
Why? Because I can.
And then Shawn had a face-to-face in-ring promo with Diesel on Sunday Night Slam, airing on the 26th of March 1995. Diesel said he's his own man, he won the championship without Shawn, and when Shawn got in the ring, HBK said that his upcoming championship match is something that he earned. No one gave Shawn anything in the run-up to this match. Shawn also said, and I quote, "WrestleMania 11 will be the start of a new generation. This new generation doesn't start with Diesel, it starts with HBK." Sid then pokes his big chin in to say Shawn's going to take Kev's title and break Diesel's heart. Sid's then going to break Diesel's back. And HBK continues on by saying guys like Diesel are a dime a dozen while Shawn's a once-in-a-lifetime superstar. The world's going to see a once-in-a-lifetime performance from Shawn at WrestleMania, and Shawn guarantees that he will go over at the pay-per-view. Seriously, that's what he said.
The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels will go over!
Let's take a look at the match. Pamela Anderson didn't come to the ring with Shawn, but instead she came out with Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Shawn still got escorted by Jenny McCarthy, so yeah, not a bad substitute. Now, being the kind of guy he is, Shawn decided that he was going to try and legitimately outperform Diesel during this match, and to do that, he was going to try and make Kevin as tired as possible. And this is where I feel the magic of the match lies. Now, you may be thinking this is a guy going into business for himself and there might be an element of sabotage going on, but that makes it sound like Shawn's actions were mean-spirited or selfish. According to Kev, Big Nash knew Shawn was going to try to do something like this, and Kevin took it pretty well.
I've got Shawn, who I know is going to try to fucking blow me up. I know for a fact he's going to try to blow me up. He's going to try to outperform me because he wants my fucking spot. We're best friends. But if you ever watch that fucking opening 3 minutes, I mean, fucking Bolt cutting around those spots any faster than he was running. No, but that was, Shawn won that spot. Everybody knew that fucking Shawn was lobbying for that spot. That's great, but guess what? When he goes to the fucking airport, I'm still the biggest guy.
You can tell that even though Shawn was intentionally trying to make Diesel tired, Big Nash fully understood what was happening. He didn't take it badly at all, and Nash also said if Shawn had to give him a heads up about this, then Diesel shouldn't have been in the spot he was in. Knowing what Shawn's mindset was when watching those first few moments of the match back makes you see it in a totally different way. HBK does indeed hit the ropes with a ton of speed, and he ducks a total of 3 clotheslines and a back elbow before finally hitting the mat. Diesel does manage to slow things down momentarily with a big bail and a back body drop. The body drop looked fantastic, but what you'll notice here is every time Shawn gets Irish whipped, he moves extremely fast, even when he's taking bumps in the corner. The two take a breather, and when the action resumes, Shawn again won't let up. He gets tossed away from the corner when trying some mounted punches, but twice he runs straight back to Kev while trying to continue his attack. Big Daddy Cool just isn't used to opponents like this, and knowing what we know now, it's easy to see what Shawn was trying to do. Things do get a bit more regular and traditional when Shawn avoids a press slam and Diesel counters a suplex. Michaels then gets dumped out of the ring, and this allows Sid to get a little heat, but the big man's all bark and no bite. The action resumes with Shawn trying a sunset flip. This doesn't work and Diesel's able to crotch Shawn on the top rope. Moments later, Diesel crotches himself when trying a big boot, and Shawn takes advantage by sending Nash out of the ring, and this gets followed up with an HBK crossbody from the top to the outside. Something else we need to talk about, fans cheering for Shawn Michaels. When Shawn pulled this move off, he got cheered by the audience, and they cheer again for his follow-up baseball slide. As a matter of fact, the crowd booed Diesel's name way before the show even went on air. Diesel's name was mentioned during the countdown show, and I'm sure McMahon and company were quite shocked by the reaction Big Daddy Cool got here. And to make matters worse, the finish McMahon had come up with was likely going to make fans boo Diesel even more. We'll get to this in a moment. Shawn performs more crowd-pleasing moves, including a splash from the apron to the outside. Big Daddy Cool's now got a great opportunity to get his breath back, but now fans are even chanting for Sid, so things aren't exactly going how McMahon planned. For a WWF title match at WrestleMania, this didn't normally happen. Shawn tries to break his opponent down, and this makes perfect sense, seeing as HBK's the smaller competitor. It's actually easy to forget that we've got a big babyface going up against a smaller heel, which again is something that didn't normally happen. So Shawn chopping his opponent down in a methodical manner did make sense. Keeping Diesel off his feet was of the utmost importance. A middle rope bulldog keeps Shawn in the driver's seat. More basic offense follows that keeps the champ on the mat. The crowd does chant Diesel when the big man goes for an Irish whip, but those chants stop when Shawn performs a back elbow. A "Let's Go Shawn" chant then breaks out in the audience, and there's a loud pop when Shawn performs his flying elbow. HBK's offense is way too crowd pleasing, and it wasn't just fans paying attention here. Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon were also noticing the way fans were reacting. Diesel fights back by throwing Shawn away while Michaels was going for a front headlock. This happens twice, and even McMahon says on commentary that this must be taking a lot out of Diesel. And yeah, Big Nash does look like he's went for an hour here when in reality it's just been over 10 minutes. Diesel goes for snake eyes, Shawn counters it and the champ finds himself in a sleeper hold. Shawn makes sure to jump on his opponent's back here and the hold stays in for a pretty long time. We go all the way down to the mat here and Diesel has to stand up with his opponent still on his back, and the hold gets broken up when Shawn gets rammed into the corner. A few back elbows follow. Big Daddy Cool then pulls off 2 corner clotheslines as he gets his second wind. He tries Snake Eyes again, and this time he is successful. And a leapfrog body guillotine makes Shawn second guess his actions up until this point as Diesel goes in control. Shawn takes the Ray Stevens corner flip as Diesel continues to build momentum, and after brawling both outside and inside the ring, it looks like this one's all over. Diesel's just steamrolling right through HBK at this moment. Then we come to the finish, a finish that both Shawn and Diesel protested in the back, but McMahon wouldn't budge. And it's a finish that would lead to Shawn Michaels pretty much having to turn babyface immediately after WrestleMania XI. Shawn wrote in his book, "We were going over the match and we came to the point where I was going to kick Kevin with my superkick and attempt to cover him. Vince said, 'I want a strong kick out.' Kevin didn't like it. That's Shawn's finish. I've got to barely come out of that. I want you to be strong." That's not going to make me look strong. That's Shawn's move. The people are not going to like that. They're going to think you're pushing me too hard. The fans knew my superkick was a strong move, that it should hurt everyone, even Kevin. Within the context of the match, they would expect the kick to hurt him. If Kevin popped up after a count of 1, we would destroy the fans' suspension of disbelief and ruin their experience. They would be taken out of the moment and feel cheated. They'd be angry and boo, mostly at Kevin. I might even garner some sympathy because they'd think I was getting the shaft. It would make more sense to have Kevin struggle out. Fans always like babyfaces who struggle. It gives them someone to get behind. Vince, I pointed out, you want the fans to get behind him. He's my buddy and I want the fans to get behind him. It needs to be 1-2 barely up. That will get him over. If he powers out at 1, they're not going to like it. We told him that we thought the people weren't going to like it, but Vince wanted it, so that's what we did. When the time came for the kick, I hit Kevin with it and he popped up at 1. The boos came raining down. I knew it, Kevin grumbled. I quickly called for a belly-to-back suplex. I crawled over to him and said, "Barely kick out." We got a 2 count as he just got his shoulder up. "I think we got them back," I told him. Now, what Shawn didn't mention here is the fact that there was a referee bump before the superkick and Diesel was already out cold for ages before Hebner got back inside the ropes. But everything else HBK said here was true. The crowd did boo when Nash kicked out. Shawn jumps from the middle rope and he falls right into a sidewalk slam. He then gets catapulted into the corner where a pad's been removed, thanks to Psycho Sid, but the guys were too far away and Shawn could only reach the middle turnbuckle. Diesel then performs a few punches followed by a big boot, and when he signals for the jackknife, there's a mixture of cheers and boos. Kev then pulls off his finisher and yeah, what happened here? Well, Nash thinks Shawn intentionally made this look bad, which is really the only criticism I have of this entire match. I get a kick out of Shawn being so competitive and Shawn wanting to prove he's better than someone else even in a worked environment, but I don't see the benefit in this at all. You're going to take the move one way or another. You talked earlier about wanting to make your friend look good, so at least make the jackknife look as good as you can. Big Diesel wins the match, and here's what Kev had to say about the powerbomb.
Oh, I know how you can do it. Take the worst power bomb in the history of fucking pro wrestling for the finish. How's that possible? Shawn could fucking stand and take a power bomb without anybody giving it to him better than he took the one in that match.
Why?
Why not?
From Shawn's book, the next day we had a television taping in Poughkeepsie. When I arrived at the building, Vince told me he wanted to talk. "Shawn, we're going to switch you babyface." What? It's because of the kick out, isn't it? It was bad on my part, I admit it. Why is it affecting me? I'm the only heel that you have. They like you, the people like you, Shawn. They like me, but they like to hate me. Now is not the time. You make the mistake and it cost me my career. I was not happy. We're going to have Sid drop you, injure you tonight, and you'll go home for 6 weeks. I was so frustrated, so bummed. We had told him that the people were going to boo. Vince, I said, I would never tell you how to run your entire business, but please leave the wrestling to me. Then I went and told Kevin what was happening. They're taking me off for 6 weeks. What for? They're turning me babyface. It's because of the kickout, isn't it? Big Sid ended up turning on Shawn. Kev ran down for the save. Shawn was taken off TV and he came back as a babyface. From here, he had built up a ton of fan support by realigning with Big Daddy Cool and winning the IC Championship. In the following year, Shawn won the Rumble again before heading to WrestleMania to win the WWF Championship. Diesel, meanwhile, was getting prepared to leave for WCW when Shawn finally won the gold. Funny how it all worked out, isn't it? So, at the top of this video, I made mention of an HBK quote from the WWE Untold series. At WrestleMania 11, he and Kevin were trying to tell fans about the Attitude Era 3 years before it actually happened. And, in a way, I can kinda see what he means. There hadn't been a WrestleMania title match up until this point that was so legitimately competitive. There hadn't been a guy wrestling the title match with a real chip on his shoulder, and there hadn't been two guys getting together like this trying to actually outperform one another. It worked because Shawn and Diesel were friends. Had Shawn tried this years earlier with someone like Hogan or Warrior at WrestleMania, then he probably wouldn't have stayed in the WWF for very much longer, but the fact that Diesel took it all in his stride is what makes it work. There's a heavy dose of reality in this worked wrestling match, and I think that's what Shawn meant when he mentioned the Attitude Era. And when you watch this one, you do sense that it's a way different WrestleMania title match than the ones that came before it. It does share similarities to future Mania matches too, such as Rock vs Austin. Both Stone Cold and Rock legitimately felt they were the best guys in the company, and they both said they wrestled their WrestleMania matches together with a competitive mindset. So while both superstars were working together, there was still that little part of them that wanted to steal the show and prove they were the better performer by giving it their all. For fans watching at home though, this kind of stuff happening between two performers can make for some great viewing. Go back and watch Shawn vs Diesel on the WWE Vault and you'll maybe look at it in a totally different way. But I imagine it also takes two competitors who really trust each other in order to pull this off successfully, and with the caliber of wrestlers we have in modern times, it'd be good to see more guys having this kind of attitude. Maybe they do and we just don't know it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please take care.